What is going on, online fitness coaches? Welcome to another episode of the Change Lives, Make Money Online Trainer podcast. This is the #1 show for online fitness coaches who are trying to grow a successful online business. In today's episode, I'm joined by one of my rockstar clients, 10K mastermind student, Mrs. Kenny Marie. What's up, Kenny?
What's up? I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel honored to be with Brian Mark. Wow.
Get out of here. So Kenny, me and you, we go probably back, I think, to about March last year. And I was actually talking to Kirsten because I told her I was bringing you on the podcast yesterday about our story. And then I started creeping through some of your old Facebook posts because I know that I know that you started your fitness journey with Alex, who was my previous client. And then through that fitness journey, you developed a passion for competing and then a passion for coaching. But I don't want to tell your story. So let's have a quick little intro about basically what got you started in the fitness space, Kenny, and what got you passionate about fitness in the first place?
Good question. So like I said, thank you for even asking me to be on this. That's super cool. But yeah, so I have been an athlete all of my life. Soccer was my sport. I played in college, and like most athletes, when you're done playing, you don't know what the fuck to do, And so I was done with soccer in college and I started weightlifting. Well, weightlifting, I thought, didn't really know what I was doing. And I was so stubborn because I had that athlete mentality, I can do it, I've done it myself. So I went probably 5 years, trying and failing. And I was in my early 20s. So of course I loved to party and do this and that. But the athlete in me was always I know I can look better, feel better. I know I can do better, but I can't find the right balance. I ended up meeting Alex Draknick, who obviously was in the 10K Academy at a music festival. And of course,
I love where this is going.
Yeah. So I met her at a music festival and she was so loud. She has a very loud personality and she's super cool and she looked really good. So I was like, okay, if this girl can do both, I need to figure it out. I hired Alex. In 3 months I was with her, I lost 30 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah, it was incredible. And so I lost 30 pounds, and just through that process, I just learned so much. And she was competing at the amateur level. And so I was I just got immersed in that world and I was so interested. And so then that obviously what got me into bodybuilding.
That is so freaking cool. Okay, so you've been working out for 5 years on your own. What were you doing for work when you were working out?
So when I was in college, I had several jobs. I was a behavioral technician, so I worked with kids with autism.
Yeah.
And then I also was a barista, and then I also worked as a server at a restaurant. And I was in school full time, and so I was just really, really busy. It's a long story. So my workouts were basically me going into the gym for 40 minutes and doing whatever I saw other people doing. I had no structure to anything.
So it was through hiring an online coach, you saw the transformative process. You're holy crap. I just tried to do this on my own for 5 years and I just did it with an online coach for 3 months and I lost 30 pounds. Is that what kind of got you interested in coaching? When did you kind of realize oh, I actually I want to be a coach for others?
So yeah, so so that was in college, and then in grad school, I again was working. I was working at a gym. I was doing all these things, whatever. And I would coach my classmates in between classes. I don't know why. I just they saw that I was the workout guru of our little cohort. And so they would just ask me to train them. So in between I would train them. And I worked at a gym as well, just as a front desk worker. But if there was a trainer that didn't show up, my boss wanted me to run the class. So I was doing all of this, not certified, but I was just, running classes and training friends. And over time I was I can just do this permanently. So yeah.
Was there any hesitations when you initially thought about, because I think that when people think about personal training as a career, it's I think the idea is really cool at first because you think oh, I'm just going to help people work out. But then when you look at the logistics of an actual personal training career, it's you don't get paid very much money. Was there any hesitations when you were thinking about coaching others?
Absolutely. And my biggest hesitation, which I think was if I go back to our initial messages, Brian, I was I can't train, I'm not certified. And he's well, do you know anything about health and fitness? How long have you been doing this? You obviously know something. And so, yeah, I was super hesitant, but mostly because I was in grad school for social work. So I have my background's in social work and psychology. And I really was like, I cannot have a career change because I'm already in this like way too deep. You know what I mean? Like I went to college, I'm X amount of dollars, thousands of dollars in debt. I'm in grad school. Like I needed to stay the course, but it was not making me happy. Like the job I was in, I was a child protective services worker. I don't know if you guys know what that is. Essentially, I was the worker that went out to assess child abuse. And that's a really, really draining job. And I got into that profession because I wanted to help people. And what I found was like, it was just like crushing me. And it was like too hard. And I was getting myself in positions where I was like, how am I helping anybody right now? I'm removing kids from their family and it's just secondhand trauma every fucking day. Yeah. So I was like, I could be a trainer and help people in the way that I thought I wanted to when I entered this career path to begin with.
And it's almost like at some point you need to make a decision. You're like, okay, well, like it's like being pot committed, right? Like it's like the quote in if you're gambling is like, if you've already bet a certain amount of dollars, so you may as well just bet your whole hand. But I think that a lot of people do that with their life, like pretty often. Well, they're like, I've already, got a degree, or I'm already working at this job, or I've already worked so hard to get an advancement in my career. But like, what do you do when you've been working at a career for like X amount of years and you're like, you get a degree and you're like, this actually isn't what makes me happy anymore.
Yeah. And it was tough. It's really tough too, because you feel like you don't want to disappoint your parents or like you've been doing it for so long and everyone like hypes you up. Like I graduated college at like 20, got my master's at like 22. So like there was a lot of hype in my family. And so being, telling them like, actually, I'm not doing this, that was really scary, but oh my gosh, it was so worth it.
Okay. I love this so much. So, you come into the tent, so you decided to like reach out and hire me, which is super cool. Now, when you first started, when you first joined my program, you were not only working on your own business, but you were also competing. And that I think is a really big thing I wanted to kind of bring up on the podcast, because I think that there's a lot of people that are doing fitness competitions right now that refrain from building their business because they're doing fitness competitions. But I watched you successfully do both. What was it like training for shows while also studying the course and in working on your online business and taking calls? Like, what's it like working on your business while also competing?
So, I mean, I'm not going to lie, it's really challenging, because especially if you have the type of mindset that I'm sure a lot of the people in 10K Academy have. I know Brian and I share this mindset, like I'm a fucking go-getter. Whatever I do, I want to execute the shit out of it. And so being, a competitor, like I'm an athlete at heart. And also I just quit my job. So I need to actually succeed in my business. Like I didn't have an option to half-ass either of them. And so although it was challenging, it actually, I think, put me in a position where I like kind of forced myself to just like fly. You know how like a bird will like kick the baby out of the nest and like you're just forced to figure it out. Like that's kind of how I felt. And because I think I had that athlete mentality, I was like, I'm not going to fucking fail at either of these things. And so it honestly comes down to just time management. It comes down to time management, and it comes down to like having a very, very strong mindset and like being very intentional about exactly what it is that you're trying to achieve.
I love it. And I love that so much, because I think that a lot of people will go into contest prep and building a business and give themselves permission to fail at one or the other, because they're like, oh, like building, like, training for the show is super hard. So that's my main priority. And I don't really care about my business, or like my business is my number one priority. So if I need to skip a couple cardio sessions in order to work on my business, like that's okay. But I have the exact same mindset as you. Like if I'm going to train for a show, like I want to train to win. And I also refuse to let my business slow down. Yeah. And I understand that, like, for me, it was like sometimes as I'm training for my show, like there's going to be a period where I'm like, I'm literally so exhausted. And I don't know if this is like this for you, but I'm like, I'm so exhausted that like looking at my phone stresses me out. So I'm like, I do like the bare minimum tasks that need to get done, but I still do the tasks even though I don't want to.
Exactly. Yeah. And it honestly was like, it wasn't an option to like, for me, it wasn't an option to like skip cardio or to like skip lead genning. Like it literally just wasn't. It was like, this is my work. And again, like I said earlier, like I've had several jobs from since being in high school. I've always had to work 2 or 3 jobs just because of like life circumstances. So to me, I look at it that way. I was like, I have 2 jobs right now, and I want to just not show up to one job. You know what I mean? So yeah, the main thing too is just making sure your mindset is right. So like, my morning routine, even before I joined the mastermind, like I had a morning routine. I had to. If I didn't, I wouldn't have been successful at anything either.
I love it. So what would you say are some of like the biggest struggles, like when you were like competing? And how many shows did you do, by the way? Well, because you did one just while in the mastermind. You did one.
Yeah. So I've done 2 shows.
2 shows. Okay, so you've done 2 shows while competing or while working on your business. What would you say are some of like the struggles that you run into either with competing or building your business or managing both? Like what for you was like the number one thing that you struggled with?
Ooh, that's a good question. Well, I'd say for one,
honestly, maybe it's relationships, because if you're building,
I was just about to say, Brett,
I'm like, maybe it's not the actual business or the competing, because it's like if you're fully committed to it, right? So
I was literally just about to say, and I've had to get like Cole and Brian's advice on this so many times during the mastermind, but like something unfortunately has to take a backseat. If you want to be 100% in one thing or 2 things, or like something else is going to have to take a backseat. And unfortunately, that was my relationship. But I'm also married to someone who's very, very supportive, and he understood that I'm not going to be able to cater to your needs all day, every day, because my mind is already focused on 2 things that like they need my focus right now, you know? And so I would say, yeah, it was a struggle to keep up in my relationships, and even like with my friendships. I wasn't able to go out and be with my friends every weekend, because during the week I'm training, and during the weekend I needed to make up for the hours on my business that were used during the week I'm on training. And so you are going to have to sacrifice some things. But again, it goes back to like, what is your intention? Like, why are you doing a show? Are you doing a show to win? Or are you doing a show for the experience? Are you building a business because you actually want financial freedom and you actually want to help people? Or do you just want to have some extra cash? None of it. There's nothing wrong with either, but like, what is your intention?
I love it so much. I'm just going to jump in here with my biased mindset and say that, like, guys, if you're going to build a business, do it to the best of your ability. Like, there's no point in jumping into a business coaching program and just like watching one of the videos once in a while, or like, there's no point in like saying you're going to build a business and then just posting like once or twice a week. Like, the reason I really wanted to bring Kenny onto this podcast is like, Kenny just has this fucking mindset where anything she does, she's successful at. Like, she wanted to hire a team, she did it. She wanted to get to 10K, she did it. There's just something, and she while competing, she did it. And there's just something special about that. And it's like, I think if you're going to do something, like, try to be the best that you can possibly be at that one thing. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that people don't give themselves enough credit. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't see their fullest potential. And so they just kind of like settle with half-assing, when in reality, like, you actually can have any fucking thing you want in this world. Like, you actually can.
Yeah, anything. Like anything. Like, you built your business. We started working together in March or April of last year, and you built your business to 10K. You also, how many people do you have working with your business now in your brand?
So right now I have, in total, there's, like 6 of us, but I have 2 coaches, I have a nutritional specialist, and then I have a couple assistants.
Guys, like, that's in a year. That's like in a year. That's so cool. And the impact that you get to have on your clients' lives is just like such a rewarding and incredible feeling, right?
It honestly is. And it's nice because being like doing a competition, it forces you to put yourself in the position that you're telling your clients to do. So like, I tell my clients, hit your macros, like do your cardio, but like I was actually forced to also do that because I had to check in with my own coach. And so it's easier to, it's easy to be like, you guys, like, what are you doing? But like, I actually felt the struggle with them because I was doing it as well.
What would you say was like the biggest thing you learned from doing shows while building your business?
Oh gosh. The biggest thing I learned is that, like, I don't know, I feel like you can just do anything. It sounds so cliche, but like that experience really taught me, like, I fully, wholeheartedly believe that anything that you want in life, you can have. Like, literally. And that competition and that experience, like, taught me that. I was like, yo, if I can fucking place second at my first show ever and make $10,000 in my first 10 weeks, like, so excel in my business, excel as an athlete, and, get my relationships on track, and like, you can do anything. And so since then, I just have this mindset that's even more just like tunnel vision. Like, anything I look at, I'm like, I'm fucking tunnel vision on it. You know?
It's like you're not playing to compete. It's like, let's win.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, let's win in business. Let's win on the stage. Let's win in our relationships. Like, let's just win. Let's just do the best we can at everything we do.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I share that mentality. Like I believe in it. Like guys, some of the things I've told you guys that I wrote, like I write on my vision board, and then like at the end of 2020, I'm like 80% of this came true this year. Like there's just like there's so much like life is so cool. But the key is you have to play at full speed. And Kenny, I think you have that thing. You got that like you're willing to turn it up a notch in order to be successful. You know?
Absolutely.
There's actually, I want you to talk about this quote. This is like, I wanted to bring this up at the end of the podcast, but this is the perfect time. There was something that you said to me. It was like in a mastermind chat. It was about like 2 weeks ago. And you said something like, my goal is to book 3 calls and I'm not going to bed until it's done. Can you talk a little bit about this mindset? Like, where did that come from? Because I think that there's a lot of online coaches that are listening to this that need to hear that. And the key is like, I'm going to book 3 calls and I'm not going to bed until it's done. Where did you get that? Like, where did that come from?
Okay, I was thinking about this. Honestly, I don't know if this is a mindset that you can teach. I don't know. I don't know. Like, I'm going to be honest. I just have a very hungry mentality. And so if I know that I'm not doing the best I can, then I'm not going to quit until I've accomplished it. And so, yeah, like I was, probably a little bit short of 10,000 that month or something. And so I was like, fuck this. Like, I'm not just going to like let this happen. Like, I'm going to stay and work and do the best I can until I book through 3 calls. And the thing is too, is I think when people hear that, they're like, oh my gosh, like, I can't stay up till 2 or 3 in the morning and I can't do this and that. You guys, I was not staying up till 2, 3 in the morning. I was just being intentional as fuck when I was working. When I was working, like the time, everything that Brian and Cole and Corey and everyone teaches us, like, set the timers on your phone. Like, a lot of us are working from home. So, a lot of our family members think that they can chat with us. It's like, no, I'm at work. The door is closed. My timer's on my phone. Like, I'm very intentional with my work. And so you don't have to stay up until 2 or 3 trying. You're just be very intentional during those couple hours that you're working, and then book 3 calls and then I could go to bed.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love it. I'm like, I want people to hear from you because there's something special in the way that you think. And I agree, and I actually do think that like sometimes you have to pay the necessary price. And so for me, it's like, guys, if you look at your business right now and you're on it, like honestly look at your business and be like, am I playing at full speed right now? Like ask yourself that question. Like really, like let's take a minute. Are you playing at full speed right now? If you're listening to the podcast, either nod yes or nod no, because I want to know, right? Just like, let me know. Are you playing at full speed? Because if you're not, then there's got to be this, like, you got to flip the switch. And the switch is like, I'm not going to go to bed until I have 2 calls booked. That's the switch. And then you execute on that intention with, like, you set a timer, you sit down, you get to work. And guys, it's the same thing for me. Like, if there's any area of my business that I don't feel like is up to speed, then like, I'm not going to go to bed until I succeed at that one thing. It's like not letting yourself, I feel like what you're doing, Kenny, is you're not letting yourself play small. You're like, I'm not at 10K and I said I was going to get there and I'm not acting the way that I said that I should be acting. So like, I'm going to figure it out.
Yeah. And it honestly comes down to, Brian always says this and I like vibe with this so hard. Like, it always comes down to integrity. Like, do what the fuck you say you're going to do. You want to make 10K, then like make 10K, but you have to put the work in. You want to be really successful in a relationship, then like step up and show up in your relationship. Like, you just have to have integrity. So that's something that like since Brian, you said this quote, I don't know if you still have it up, but do you have it?
Yeah. The most powerful thing a person can do is exactly what they say they will. Your word must print $100 bills. What you say happens. Anything else is unacceptable. It makes you untrustworthy to anybody smart or successful.
Yes. And that quote literally like punched me in the face. It's like, I am not like, I can't be this person that doesn't live up to what I say. Like, I don't want to be that type of person, even with myself. So like, if I say I'm going to do something, like I'm sure it's all going to do it. That's just
preach it, sister. Preach it.
Yes.
I love it. I love it. That quote, so for those of you guys that are listening to the podcast, that quote also punched me directly in the face, and I got it printed out and put on my wall. I got it from Natasha Czarczewski, who's one of the other 10K mastermind coaches. She's a very smart girl. Okay, so Kenny, do you think doing fitness competitions helped your business grow?
1000% yes. Like, not a doubt. How?
Yeah, why?
Well, for one, it's a really interesting journey. And so like, so this goes back to like not just competing, but also just documenting. I documented everything. So I was on social media all day, every day. And you guys, I went from like just posting my like, you know, occasional girls chat or whatever to like blasting social media all day, every day, stories, posts, everything, because people were interested in like my journey. Bodybuilding is not, you know, only 1% of the population do bodybuilding, these types of competitions. So seeing it was like people were interested. And I'll add, when I was posting, I started getting messages. Like if I weren't posting, if I didn't post for whatever reason, I would get a message like, hey, like how's prep going? And so I almost felt like an obligation to like show my few, I don't know, I had like probably 1,200 followers at the time. Like I had like an obligation to show them what I was doing in my prep. And so that alone like blew up my business, because I'm obviously on social media more.
Yeah.
So like that just goes back to just being on social media. You don't even have to do a competition, like whatever. But yeah, showing that process and showing like, listen guys, like I'm struggling too. Like I get it. I understand it's frustrating to have to hit your macros or follow your meal plan. Like I get that it sucks, because mind you, I was still working at the county. I was still a social worker. So I was still working, you know, 8 to 10 to 12-hour days sometimes, and competing and trying to run my business.
So like you were working probably 16 to 18 hours, 60 hours a day.
I was working so much. I would be working in between clients. I'd be on my phone, like lead genning. Like I was always working, doing cardio. I was on my phone. So yeah, doing a competition, I think, is amazing in regards to being an online fitness coach, because it definitely blew up my business for sure.
So good. I love it. And I also think that there's like a certain mindset that you get from doing competitions that you can't really get anywhere else.
So the thing with competitions for bodybuilding and for being an online coach, you have to have a very similar mindset, which is I'm going to do absolutely everything I can do to be better at like this. You know what I mean? And like they're both, that mindset is required for both, because you can't half-ass a bodybuilding competition. Like you can probably half-ass being in a soccer team or like, you know, playing flag football, but like your ass is on that stage by yourself with 6-inch heels on and a little tiny bikini. Like if you don't want to embarrass yourself, or if you know, whatever it is, like you actually have to put in the work, which means like your mindset needs to be there. It's the same thing with your fitness, but with your running an online coaching business.
I love it so much. And I think that like, it's the same. So like, if you want to win first place at your show, it's like, you have to have the same mindset as like making $10,000 a month. And so to win first place at your show, you can't skip cardio sessions. You got to eat your vegetables, and you got to be consistent every single day. It's the same thing with hitting 10K. It's like, if you guys want to hit $10,000 a month, you guys need to, I think also with winning first place at a show, I think you need to hire the right mentor. Because for me, like I did 4 shows by myself, by the way, before I decided that I was finally going to hire a fitness coach. And after placing, no, I did 3 shows by myself. And once I got I got second place at my 3rd show. I finally realized, I'm like, okay, I'm not as smart as I think I am. Like I should just hire somebody that's really good at helping people win. And the first mentor I hired to help me get first place, I won the next show. So it's like, first of all, hire somebody that knows the path. Then second thing is like, don't skip cardio. So don't skip your fucking posting. Don't miss little things. There can't be a day where you don't feel like it and you don't show up. So like you need to show up consistently for your clients on social media, just like you need to show up for the gym. It's like building your business is like building your body. There's so many correlations. I know we've done a podcast about that before, but the mindset to succeed is like, it's the exact same. It's like, you have to be willing to do what it takes every single day in order to be successful.
Every day. And it's the same thing too, like with you know, competing and with having your own business. It's honestly only up to you to be successful or to fail. Like you can't hide behind a team being an online coach, and you cannot hide behind a team doing bodybuilding. It's only you. So like if you want to be successful, like it's literally only up to you to be successful.
Oh, I love it so much. Okay, so let's say that there is a person that is listening to this podcast that they're competing, but they're not an online coach yet. What advice would you give to them if they're looking to start their online coaching business as a competitor?
Oh, good question. Yeah, if you are competing and you are like thinking about being a coach, like you already know what to do. I think a lot of times people will hold themselves back because maybe they don't have the certification or like whatever, but like you are actually doing exactly what you'll be coaching. So you know, you're living that experience. You know that you have to hit your macros. You know that you have to do X amount of cardio. You know how it affects your body when you're over stressed, if you're not getting enough sleep. Like those it's not super complicated. Like you already know because you're doing it. So why not share that knowledge with other people?
I love that. And what about, let's say there is like online coaches that are listening to this right now that might be thinking about doing their first fitness competition, but they're nervous because they don't want it to affect their business.
It's not going to affect your business. It's going to make your business so much better. So like, just do it. But also, I mean, I don't know. It's just like, just do it. I don't know. Like I think a lot of times people know what they want to do. You feel it. Listen to your intuition. Like you listen to your intuition. If you think that you want to try something, just do it. Don't be afraid of failure. Don't be afraid that, your business is going to like drastically suffer. This is why you hire good mentors, AKA B Mark and PT Dom. Like this is why you have a good mentor. You make sure you have a good coach and you make sure that you have a good support system. And then you're able to honestly do anything. So yeah, if you are thinking about competing, like 100% do it. Like what's the worst thing that could happen?
I agree. I love that so much. Listen to your intuition. And I want you to lean into the fear of failure. Because you're like, that's right. You're right, Kenny. The only thing that would stop people. Oh, we got somebody saying I'm doing it. The only thing that would stop you is fear that you won't be able to do both. So like, why don't you just lean into that and do it anyways?
Yeah, fear holds too many of us back from so many different things. And it's like, when you just kind of rip the Band-Aid and just try, I'm like also very hippie. So I'm just like, if you just trust the universe, like all your shit's going to work out. Like, don't even stress about it.
Yeah, I'm also super hippie. So I'm like, I vibe with that. Well, actually, when I went to interview you, Kirsten was like, was that the girl that was talking about the great conjunction on the live stream that you were listening to on Instagram? I'm like, that is the girl.
Yeah, it's me.
Nobody knows what we're talking about. That's okay. That's okay. Okay, guys, that's it. Kenny Marie, if I'm an online coach and I might be interested in like learning more about what you do, how would I find you?
Instagram, my handle is Kenny Marie _fit. And our team page is Team Beyond the Physical.
Team Beyond the Physical. I love it. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Kenny. I appreciate you so much. I'm so proud of you. We got another month of learning in the mastermind to go. And guys, if you're tuning in to the podcast, thank you for tuning in and we'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.